Welcome back to Greels Reels, everyone. I'm your host, Robert Greeley, and this is episode 41 today. Man, oh man, it's been a crazy week. I'm finally out of my isolation period because I just moved back to Newfoundland, moving into a new apartment today, but that did not stop me from recording this episode for you guys. We got Bryan Latouche, offensive lineman for the Ottawa GGs. We kind of got an old lineman theme going the last couple of weeks there. We had Alex on last week, which is a great episode. I recommend you go check that out. After you listen to this, Brian's currently rehabbing. He just had surgery a few weeks ago, so we dive into a little bit of that, his whole stage up experience, his recruitment, when he committed to the University of Ottawa, which is a great story that you're going to hear. But yeah, without further ado, let's just get right into it. Ça va, mon ami? Bryan, man, it's good to see you. How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I still need some French lessons, eh? I've been practicing a little bit in my spare time, but I'm looking for a teacher.
Yeah, well, French is tough, but us Quebecers, we're not like really good in French. Our French is a little bit different, but yeah, like I guess to be like bilingual is something that like once you learn it, you keep it like forever, and it's something a tool that you can use like whenever you need it. So yeah, I actually like if you want some classes, I can help you. I can always help you with that.
No, I'll honestly I'll take you up on that offer. We're gonna have to do it because I think I got a little bit left from high school, and I feel like as the years go by, I just lose a little bit more of it. And then I've been trying like those online courses, and I find like they're good, but I'm not retaining anything because I'm not talking to anybody, right?
Yeah, like talking, I think like speaking to somebody, talking, like it helps you to like develop any language. Like I think it's the best thing like to to be better. If you don't practice it, then I think it's like anything in life. If you don't practice it, you're not getting better at it. So
No, 100%. So how have you been keeping yourself busy throughout these times that we're in?
I I played a lot of Xbox. I'm not gonna lie, but I got lucky because my dad he just got a new house. He built his new house, and a part of the house was to have a gym. Like a part of the plan was to have a gym. So I've been able to work out and keep myself ready to, if we would be back on the field, if like football would be back. Unfortunately, like we don't have the season this year, but like I'm still working out and I'm still getting ready for the next season. So yeah, having that gym at home, because like I know that like because I'm back home, I haven't stayed in Ottawa. I know that like the guys back in Ottawa, they can work out. Like I think they got back to it this week or last week or something like that. So, but yeah, for us, gyms are still closed. So I've been lucky to have that. Other than that, big part of the fall, I work for my dad. He has a construction company, and it's something I want to do after football. So yeah.
No, it seems like you got a decent setup. It's always nice when you can have the home fitness center all figured out, right?
Yeah, I think it was like something that I really needed to take advantage of because like I know there was some guys that they couldn't do anything other than like push up and stretching, and like I like it's good. You need to be good at the basic stuff, but at like after the time of just doing like basic stuff, you need to lift weights a little bit. So that was nice to have that.
hmm And so I guess, for those who don't know you, we've mentioned it. You're an offensive lineman for the University of Ottawa GGs, but where did football all start for you? Where did you start developing the love for this game?
Um, was it in elementary school, grade 5. So I started to play football, and I remember my first practice. We got into the gym. I didn't know football. I didn't actually love football. I was a hockey player growing up. I played basketball too. And when I got into fifth grade, there was like that football team from my elementary school that was like a connection with the high school in Quebec City. And so I started practice. And first practice, I remember they just like assigned me to O line, and I went in my stance. I'm like, okay, so I'm never gonna touch that ball. So I started crying. And I was like, I can't play football. What am I gonna do? I can play with the ball. I can touch it. I can like. There's no point for me to play that sport. I can't touch the ball. And then I remember there was one coach. I don't remember his name, but I know he was a player at Laval, and he was going to the CFL draft. I think he played for Edmonton, and he's like, "Y'all, like I know it's tough. Like everybody wants to touch the ball, but I'm sure you'll love it." And then I'm like, I don't know. So I played my old fifth grade year, and when I got into sixth grade, first practice of football, they were looking for me everywhere. And I told my friend, I was like, just tell the head coach that like if I'm not quarterback, then I just don't want to play. And he looked at me, he's like, "You're never gonna play quarterback. Just come, like stop doing that. Just come and play." And yeah, so it all started there. Then I went to into high school. I went to a first school, and I think I like the love for football wasn't there, and part of me was like, oh, maybe like football is not for me. And after 2 years of that program, I transferred to a smaller program, and it's École Secondaire Courtoise in Quebec City, and I gained back that love for football. And yeah, so it started there, and then so I played there for 4 years, and then I got to CJEP. I went to CNDF. It's a CJEP in Quebec City, and like the process from high school to CJEP is a little bit for like the same thing for like high school kids like that go into like university football in Canada. So you get recruited. There's three divisions, and you get like different programs from all over the province. So I went to CNDF, and I remember like in the recruiting process, um, the because I was like in between two schools. One was from the second division, and the one was were Division One. And when I sat with the coaches at CNDF, I remember my head coach Marc André Dion. He told me, he's like, "I'm not going to be mad at you if you go to the other school in the other division, but he's like, do you want to be the best with average players, or you want to try to be the best with the best players?" So I was like, "Okay, sign me up." I'm just yeah, like you. There was nothing else you could say to me that could convince me to go to that school. So I went there, um, played 3 years, and then my first year we lost in semifinals. Then my second year we lost in the Bola, so the championship. In my third year we actually won. And I think that like I I like football in elementary school. I kind of like enjoyed more in high school, but the real love for football, like the point for me that was that like in my head, it was like, okay, maybe I want to do that for the rest of my life, or try to do that for the rest of my life, was probably in CJEP. After my first year, it was different. It was more serious. So yeah, so
Mhm.
football started young for me.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. It's all situational and finding a right spot for yourself, right, to really exceed and fulfill roles that you were honestly probably destined to accomplish.
Yeah,
It's funny though, a little psychological warfare in recruiting.
yeah. I was like, honestly, it was like a challenge. It was like a big challenge, and I was like, okay, so you really do believe in me to be as good as that with the best players. So then, like, if you really think that I have the potential to do it, then I'm just gonna do it. You can. There's nothing more to say to convince me to like. I think I took that as um, motivation, and I still think about it every day. I'm like, wow, this really changed my life.
Mhm. Yeah, well, it's statements like that too that really do, uh, it sets a fire under a lot of athletes, right? Because they just want to perform and, they want to be the best with the best, right? Like, there's all different opinions too. Like some guys like going to, say, a smaller program that might not be as well established to try and bring them to that national
Yeah,
level. And, that's a way that people can go about it. And then other people, want, strictly playing time and others want to go and they want to compete and they want to be the best at the best, right? And whoever's on top at that time. And it's funny though, with football there's no real guarantee, right? Like surefire things aren't really there. I mean, you see it all the time, right? Like, when was the last time that there was a back-to-back Super Bowl champ, right? Like it's
I honestly don't remember.
because
Like, if
it's
I'm trying to think about it, I don't remember. Like every time you see a team win the Super Bowl, you're like, oh, okay, they might win it next year, and then something happens, and yeah,
Well,
you see
it's
like teams that go back to back to the Super Bowl, but not win the Super Bowl back to back. So yeah,
Well, it's just it's such so physically demanding, right? You got a lot of injuries. You need a lot of things to go right for you, right? I
yeah,
mean, even now that I think we're probably close to seeing it. We'll see how the rest of the season plays out in the NFL, but maybe Kansas City goes back to back, but there's
yeah,
still a big difference between last year's team and what we're looking at this year.
yeah.
You
I
know?
mean, and there's so like many good teams this year to watch, and like I think even like the bad teams, you can just like I remember in the beginning of the season when the Cowboys still had Dak Prescott. They were so fun to watch, even though they were losing games, tight games or whatever. Like they were so fun to watch, and I think it's the same thing with the Atlanta Falcons. Like I don't think they have like the record that really shows how much talent they have, but they're still nice to watch. So yeah.
No, I couldn't agree more. It's Dak Prescott's one of my favorite quarterbacks, honestly, to
Oh,
watch
same. Oh,
play.
he's so nice to watch, and like it was not nice for them that like the defense wouldn't show up as much as the offense. But no, he's really nice to watch.
Yeah, I'm hoping to see him back on the field next season, right? Obviously, he's got a massive rehab.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a long road. Have you I mean, how do you because I mean you've missed a couple games through injuries and maintaining things of that nature. What's your approach for things like that?
Um, I mean, like like the mental part is you got to go on the field and not think about it because I know there's some players that like they think they might get hurt or something like that, but man, you have to play football like that stuff that happens, you can control what you can control. And that I've always looked at stuff like that, like control what you can control. And like if you get hurt, yes, that sucks. Yes, it's gonna be tough, like on the body, but also tough on the mental part. But like, I mean, you can't control everything in life, so control what you can control. Um, I got injured in my second year. I tore my labrum in my left hip, and I just got surgery a month ago. So I'm on my rehab right now. So I think the biggest like the toughest part about that is um, to see how I'm losing my strength right now because there's not so much that I can do. But like as soon as I got the green light for doing upper body stuff, then I just got back into the gym. So I was lucky to have the gym at my place to really get back to work. But it's a process, and you control what you can control.
Rising above the challenges that you're
Yeah,
faced with.
yeah.
So I definitely I'm excited to see, you get back to 100% on the field, right? And we get back to a season, and that season being with the GGs. Where'd that recruitment process kind of start, and why did it end up being you, Ottawa, for you?
Um, so I after my second year in CJEP, I remember I saw Coach JV. He came to a practice and he looked at me. He's like, "Wow, there's an Ipster O line." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "That's interesting." I'm like, "Well, I guess so. Maybe I'm different than the other O lines. I don't know." So yeah, it started like that, and then I started to talk a little bit with him, and then I got a message from Coach Carl told me, and started to chat with him. Um, I went on the first visit between my second and third year. I just came down. I met with Coach Carl and I talked with him. I met with Coach Barisi that was there at the time, and yeah, I think I fell in love with the city. I fell in love with the program. There was like you could feel it was a big family whenever you were meeting like the current players at the time and all that stuff. So yeah, and back then we had a rule at my CJ that we couldn't like sign or commit to a team before well during the season. So our last season had to be done to like commit or sign somewhere. So after my first visit, I knew I wanted to come to Ottawa, but I couldn't tell him. So every week he was talking to me and chatting with me, and Ottawa was my first choice, and but I couldn't tell him, so that was funny. He was like, "Oh, I hope like you can come play with us." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I hope like I'm not sure about what I'm gonna do yet, but yeah." So I knew. So I remember Coach Carl, Coach Nathan Taylor. They both come down to the Bollard, and as soon as we won, like the first thing I did it was I celebrated. I cried because there was so much emotion, and then my dad came on the field. He hugged me, and then I turned and I ran to Coach Carl. I'm like, well, now I can say to you, I'm coming to play with Ottawa, and he was like so happy. And then Coach Nathan came and run. He jumped on me. Like it was like, oh, that's like I felt like they really wanted me. I felt like they wanted the player, but I also felt that they wanted the individual. They wanted like the person that I was. So yeah, so like, and that was the thing that like was really nice from the recruiting process is that like other teams they were really nice. They would like give a lot of information. They would like be there for you. But Coach Carl was approaching it, like in a different way. He was really putting the individual before like the student and the player, which like sometimes I know that like not all the coaches are like that, and like they have like their different like recruiting process. And I'm not trying to say anything bad about anybody, but he he was putting like the individual first. And I think that like as a young kid, as a recruit, as a student, like if somebody comes to you and is like, I don't care really about your football, I don't care really about like not yet about your football or your school, but I care about you and what you can like give to me and what like you can bring to me. So yeah. So I think like just for that, sorry with that, like it just brought something different that I was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna go play there.
And what a story! I got goosebumps, man. What a moment! You win the championship in your last season, and then you get to do your commitment basically right there on the field, man. That's special. That's like a little storybook.
Yeah, no, like honestly, like it was one of the best day of my life to win the championship, and then like you know what, like all that emotion and like I'm all like I won, and as soon as I won, I was like, okay, now that part is done. I have to move forward, and
Hmm.
as soon as it was like done, it was like, okay, so now I can like focus on Ottawa. I can focus on what I can bring there, what I could do there. So yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, making that transition, going from CEGEP to a U Sport organization. Obviously, a lot of people say that, you're coming in a little bit more developed at a CEGEP because you're older. You've been working probably more with an in depth, like a larger playbook than probably some high schools
Mhm.
where, you got to come into university at like 18, maybe even 17, right?
Mhm.
But how did you kind of make that transition? And what were the big things that you noticed in terms of changes, but then also a lot of similarities?
Um, like the school part, I would think it was very similar. So like I know that like for like high school kids that go into university, like it's really different for them because like it's like a whole new thing. But like the CJEP is probably like the transition period for like kids in Quebec in between high school and university. I remember when I like told some people, like not football coaches or like football players, but like more like sports fan or anything. When I told them that I was going to play in Ontario, it was like, oh, like you're gonna be so much better than the other guys, and I was like, I don't know. And then I remember when I got to Ottawa, right before camp, I went to like an open field session with the guys, and Coach Massey was there, and and then there was Ray Sean. Ray Sean was there, and we were just doing one on ones without equipment. And I remember like first rep, I don't think he did on purpose, but he just put me on my ass, and I was like, wow, I'm big and strong, but this is gonna be different. So yeah, so and the other part is I was a tackle in CJEP, and as soon as I started playing tackle in U Sport football, it's like, you know what, those arms are so small, like you're not going to be able to play tackle. You might have transition to play inside. So yeah, the transition came from there. I went from right tackle to right guard, and I think I'm a guard, and I'm going to stay there. So
Yeah, I was trying to remember what you came in as. I couldn't. I don't remember seeing many reps at tackle. I didn't realize that your Sejip was a tackle, but it's those. I mean, you're describing Rayshon. I mean, first team All Canadian, one of the best in the country, if not the best at that position. So I mean, that's definitely a quite the matchup for day one. So I wouldn't beat yourself up too too
Well,
much on that.
my first like open field session, there was only two D lines, and the two D lines were Rayshon and Alain Pig. So and now they're both in the CFL. So no, I've always had a lot of respect for both of them, especially Rayshon. I think I had like a nice relationship with Rayshon. So no, like too, it was like, you know what, I have like a lot of work to do, and yeah.
Man, those guys are competitors, honestly. Like, even like Elaine, like, coming over his one and only season in youth sport, like he was learning like the Canadian game of football too. Like he was adjusting to the rules and the differences, and he still wreaked havoc.
Yeah, no, he's a freak. He's such a nice athlete and a good football player. Like I'm really happy for him. I didn't expect that. I was like looking at the draft online. I was looking at it on Instagram, and when he got drafted, I was like, wow, that's so nice for him to be away from football for like that amount of time, then come back and get drafted so early in the draft. I was like, wow, man, that's like thumbs up for you, man.
No, it's incredible, right? Like, I mean, I think it was 2 seasons. Two like he had like yeah, he hasn't played like competitively for like 2 seasons because
Well, yeah, 2 seasons because he played in my first year, and then he hasn't played for the past 2 seasons, and then
Mhm.
he got
And
drafted.
another draft, yeah. So I mean that, to take time off of a sport, because I mean you can work out all you want and stuff like that, but a lot of teams start to lose interest once they don't see that game film, right? And things of that nature. But I mean, obviously, there was nothing he could do about the last 2 seasons. He had ran out of U Sport eligibility, right?
Yeah,
So the fact that he once he finally gets everything ready, he goes 13th overall. Like, I mean, that's it's pretty impressive.
yeah, it was impressive, and like that just proved that he's an awesome player.
Yeah, no, both those guys are just they're absolutely fantastic. They're good individuals, and even
Yeah,
you know like super talented, like on and off the field. But yeah, I mean, some of the favorite memories. So, like, you're going through the season. You were part of some Panda wins there as well, and big playoff moments and things like that. Anything remain really present right now as you've kind of looked back and reflected on your first 3 seasons?
I would say my first Panda win, so in my second year, um, that that was awesome. It was an awesome game, and I mean, I know that like I have like a couple of friends that played in RCQ, and like they had like their rivalries and all that stuff, but I don't think there's something that you can compare to the Panda game. And I didn't know about the Panda game. We don't know a whole lot about it like here in Quebec, but like when I signed and when I got recruited, I was asking like they told me like, oh, like wait for the Panda game, you'll see what it is. And I was like, what is the Panda game? And then I stepped on the field and I looked at everybody. Everybody was losing their mind. I was like, okay, this is crazy. This is where you want to be. I think like the Panda game, except maybe like the Vanier Cup. I haven't been to the Vanier Cup yet, but the Panda game is something different. Like you can feel like the electricity, like in the city, in between, like you can see the rivalry, and I don't know, it's crazy, and like all the fans that storm the field after the game, like it's like a it's like a little game from what do you see in the states when
Mhm.
NCAA is on. So yeah, no, it's really nice.
No, it's nothing beats it. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's its own animal, right? It's pretty incredible. That one in particular you're talking about in the second year. Like, I honestly, I still say that that's like the best day of my life right now. Like that. That was such a crazy evening, man. Like, it's you're this. I mean, we're going into December now, but just the last couple of months, seeing all like the Facebook memories pop up and stuff like that. It's like, oh man, like what a day, like what a day. So I mean, there's gonna be another Latouche now entering into U
Yeah,
Sport football. Your brother committed to Sherbrooke, am I
yeah,
correct?
yeah,
Yeah. So two brothers, same family, very different style of players. He's returner slash like receiver, right?
yeah. He's uh he's a smaller dude, but he's probably stronger than me. Nah, I'm just kidding. But he's a dog, man. He's a baller. Like I'm really proud of him.
Yeah, I was gonna say any. I mean, what was it like to see him make that next step in his football career?
Um, I'm really proud of him, and honestly, like I don't think that like I know somebody that worked as hard and has gone through like that amount of stuff to get to there. Sam, so Sam was always an athlete. Sam was the smaller, like more ripped version of the family, and he was always an athlete. He's an awesome basketball player. He's an awesome hockey player, and so when he started to play football, first game, he broke his collarbone,
Hmm.
and so that's his first game ever. He's like, you know what? I'm done with football. He was probably in secondary one, so grade seven. So I'm like, oh, you cannot like quit right now. It's your first game. Like I know you got hurt, but it's your first game. He's like, I'm done. And then a year later, he's like, you know what? He was a quarterback at the time. He's like, you know what? I might try to like go back to football. So I'm like, oh, I was like pretty happy for him. And then he got back to football and he played the running back. So first game, I think he read for like 100 yards, and then second game, he broke his other collarbone.
Oh.
Collarbone. So it's like, huh, well, that's unfortunate. And then he's like, I'm done with football. And then he didn't play for football for like 4 years or 3 years. And then um, grade 11 secondary 5 came. He's like, you know what, I'm gonna go back to football. And then he went back to football, and I think that's where you find the love for the game. And then same thing with me. Went through the process of getting recruited to CJEP, and he decided to go to play for Limoilou, which was probably the biggest rivalry from my CJEP. So it was like if my brother would go play for Carlton. um, but no, so then he played 3 years there, and well, 4 years actually. He was back this year, and then like since I didn't have football or anything this year, I went to coach at his CJEP, and then he decided to go to Sherbrooke. I'm really proud of him. I like I hope that like he can succeed and have a lot of success because he had a lot of success in CJEP, and I just hope the best for him. And I even went to his visit at Sherbrooke with him. um, Showed up there. I had my U Ottawa tracksuit. It was like, you know what? I'm just here for my brother. I'm not transferring or anything. I'm not doing anything. I'm just here for my brother. And then all the coaches there respected that. And I think that like Sherbrooke was probably the best choice for him.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll paint a little picture, and you tell me what you think will happen and how it'll feel. Though a Gigi and a Sherbrooke Vanier Cup final.
I hope we win. I hope we win, but I hope he scores like 5 touchdowns.
Okay, he has a night, but you walk away with the ring at the end of it, and then I guess you'll be finished up after, so he come back the next season and get one himself.
No, like, no, I'm really happy for him.
Yeah,
He's
no.
a hard worker. He's like I said, he's a baller. He's a dog. He's small, but he doesn't like let the fact that he's like smaller, like not as big as probably me, to like intimidate him. Like he's just like I'm just gonna be stronger and I'm just gonna work harder than anybody else, and that's how I'm gonna succeed. And I think that's how you should that's how you should do it. That's how it should work. Like you have to work hard, and yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it's true.
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
I think we got a little bit of a feedback there, but yeah, no,
I
it's
can't hear you right now.
you can't.
Wait a minute. Then now I can hear you.
Yeah, the classic Zoom technical difficulties. It's the vibe of 2020, basically.
Yeah.
It's just manufacturing all these calls. I'm still. It's amazing to me that I'm still like trying to work on like making sure I'm not talking over people and things of that nature when I'm on these calls. It's so tough.
Ah, like for now. everything's fine.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe by the time I get the hang of it, we might not. Hopefully, we won't even need to use this anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, honestly, Brian, man, that's everything that I had that I wanted to chat about this evening. I mean, this is the part of the show now where, I just hand the show over to you. So it's your show. You can talk about whatever you want. You can, share a life lesson, give us a story. Realistically, anything that you want to say. I mean, the show is yours.
I mean, like I think it's been like a tough year for everybody, like being away from football. And like you said, there was like a lot of like memories on Facebook and Instagram about like the Panda game from 2 years ago, last year, and same thing. Like I had memories from like Panda and my championship, and I was like, man, like sometimes when you get to train camp or when you get to the season, late season, you have like a lot of practices, and you're like, man, like I don't know if I want to do it right now. Like I'm tired, and like with what's happening right now, like it makes you cherish all those moments. And you never know when like football is going to be over for you. And so if you go to practice and you don't want to do it, then you're just wasting your time because you never know what's going to end. So yeah.
Mhm. All right, man. Well, I think that's where we'll leave it off this evening. Hey, thanks so much for joining me this evening, man. It was nice catching up with you.
For inviting me. I'm really happy, and see you soon, man.
Yeah. Take care. Okay, everyone, that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. If you did, send it to a friend who you think would also enjoy it. And, leave us a comment, a review, all that stuff. I absolutely love to see it. But hey, in the meantime, stay best kind.